Well, people think pause is not doing something. We were talking about this before, that words like reflect or pause sound like there's nothing happening. That's what the shift is what is pause? What's happening in pause? What's it creating? Could be a really interesting way of expressing. What does it do? What is it manifesting?
So let's start with what is a pause. Let's relate to a pause, because a pause can be many things. It could be a pause, or it could be more longer than the pause. It's it's the gap between two words. It's the silence. It's a hesitation. It's a delay, sometimes between responses, but also between choices. You can consider it as being waiting. You can consider it as a break between two spots. If you're traveling, you're taking a pause, you're taking a break, taking a rest if you want. It's you can consider it to be a space. It's all of this, and it applies in many aspects of our life, and especially in our conversations. And it plays a powerful role on many aspects of our conversations. Not the least is allowing us to respond, but also allowing us to first process what's being said. If there is no pause between the time you say something to me, Ian, and I give it an interpretation right away, and I react to it, then I may not have given it its just and honorable assessment of what you meant. There's no clarification, there's no clarity, there's no thought. And if I'm not pausing, I'm probably not breathing either. So Karen often invites us to breathe, and if I'm not breathing, this is not working the way it should be. So that's my take on the pause.
I think for me, if I'm relating it to conversations and coaching conversations, it's the discrepancy between doing something and wanting to do something and taking a pause, because a lot of people think that taking a pause is non-action. But in order to be able to take an action, you need to take the action of taking pause, which allows you to digest and to mull over and to honestly, it gives a person the time and space to see things differently. Because when we're in the midst of challenge and struggle, which I was in a big version of this yesterday, it's in the pause that I'm able to sit with it and be with it and ask the questions and have questions asked of me without spinning in a circle. The coaching provides that space for that to be able to be unraveled so that I can take whatever right action is for me.
It's a rhythm. It gets sometimes skipped over. And I ask the question often when there's silence, because in pause we're often, there's a quietness around it. But I ask, is it quiet? When there's pause, is it silent? And when we ask a question and someone is mulling over, I love that word that you used, or having to really dig into something that's complex, there's lots going on. We're allowing people time, I'm going to use a word that's really important, to think, to deeply think. And that person may be responding to the question that you just asked. And by not even speaking after they give their first answer, it allows them to sit even longer, because that's the first initial reaction. I love your word, Mark. And then by being silent, creating that pause together, it opens up the capability of someone to say more. And there's so much more after the initial response. Like you said, Ian, being able to look at it and just move around in it, it often brings this really deep, kind of resolution or just knowing that comes out after that. So pause creates knowing.
So what I heard from that, you didn't say it necessarily, but in a coaching conversation or in a conversation in general, let's say the person asking the question, but just by not asking the next question as soon as the response comes out, allows the space for more to come out. Because I think often in conversation, we feel like we have to respond right away to keep things moving or whatever. But in that absence of that, it allows more to surface. And we don't often purposely put that space into our conversations because we feel like we got to get something done or get on to the next thing. And that's the beauty of having more spacious conversation.
I think of it like, instead of hopping, because you actually used your hands on this one, our way we've learned is to hop to the next. We're moving people this way. Where you describe is we're moving people this way and then this way. So it's that pause creates this new rhythm. So that people have everything they need here to get to there.
Well, there's the rhythm. So imagine there's no pause. What would music be like without no pause?
I've used this metaphor before.
What would a song look like without any pause?
Noise.
And what would a conversation look like without a pause? But not pausing also robs you of the enjoyment, because you can't be 100% speaking, not listening. You can't enjoy the conversation. I enjoy the pauses where I listen to you two speak more than I enjoy hearing me speak. So it's that pause allows you that. And if there is no pause up here either in my brain, then it's just busy. Then it's just really, 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 really busy.
So that's the invitation of creating intentional pause and its power in the coaching practices that we create and in everyday conversation.